The world is changing faster than we can imagine. Where will our curiosity lead us? The world is changing faster than we can imagine. Where will our curiosity lead us? The work continues on the question of who we are today and what we will be tomorrow. Will we hold emerging technology accountable to its social and ethical implications? The consequences are at the center of our future. We're here to navigate the paradigm shift with you. Enter GatherVerse News, your home for humanity-centered tech journalism.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the very first episode of GatherVerse News Unscripted. I'm your host, Priya David Clemens. I'm the executive producer of this show. I'm only the host, actually. On Mondays, I have a whole team that is working with me on this project, and I'm going to introduce you to them a little bit later in the show. We want to start by giving a quick shout out to our sponsor for this show, Old School Cafe, a great place to talk tech in San Francisco. Old School Cafe, come hungry, leave inspired. So today's show is going to run the gamut of the micro and the macro, looking at artificial intelligence. That is a topic that has been on everyone's lips over the last several months. If you don't know me, I'm a longtime journalist. I'm based in San Francisco. I'm not a techie, but I'm a veteran journalist. I've been around for a while, definitely see a big shift in what's happening in society these days, and wanted to run it to ground, learn about it, and share it with you. I'm a mom. I love to hike. I'm hoping that we're going to get to know each other through these shows. So I thought I'd start by being a little familiar. I'm not launching this alone. I'm launching this in partnership with GatherVerse. And we were hoping to talk with founder Christopher Lafayette today, but he's in Germany and his bandwidth is not great right now. So we'll have to bring him on for a later show. For now, let me just say GatherVerse is a global ecosystem where communities gather to discuss humanity first standards in accessibility, education, equality, community development, safety and privacy, wellness, and ethics within the metaverse and emerging technologies. So the other day, I heard there was something like 70 new AI startups in Hayes Valley. For those of you who don't know Hayes Valley, it's in San Francisco. It's a neighborhood that's right next to City Hall, downtown, pretty vibrant. There are some restaurants and cafes. There's also a freeway that comes near it. But there's a lot of energy going on there. But 70 new AI startups, it seemed like a lot. So I ran that lead down and ended up meeting Gloria Felica. She's a 26-year-old woman who recently moved to Hayes Valley, and she has started a female-only hacker house. So she invited us to come and take a look. Today is move-in day, so it's empty right now when she showed us around, but very soon that house is going to be full of promise. Kalpesh, would you go ahead and roll that video for us?
Mini garden. It sparked from the idea that we need more women in technology. I mean, it's nothing new, right? But hi, welcome to AJ House for Women. It's called Oasis. We are sitting here in Cerebral Valley, the new name for Hayes Valley neighborhood. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. This is so beautiful.
Yes, and this is our mini garden. It sparked from the idea that we need more women in technology. I mean, it's nothing new, right? But it's still a problem, and we need more diversity and inclusion in the technology space. And that's why we're building this collective house to spark more collaboration within people of color, especially women, yeah. We haven't yet have any furnitures, but as you can see, it's coming along. It's coming along.
There it is.
Yes. I was born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia. Programming is not as easy as how it is here. Like, it's very accessible. You grow up in Stanford, it's most likely that your parents will put you in a after-school programming course, but that's not the case in Southeast Asia, especially as a woman. I was 8. The teacher just told me that programming was too hard, so I never learned how to code until after college because I didn't have the confidence to start. I was at a hackathon hosted at an Airbnb in South San Francisco, and I realized that I was the only woman in a group of 30 or so people. So I was thinking, oh wow, how many other occurrences out there where women researchers, engineers, founders have to be the only one in the room? So that's when I realized that maybe we should create an AI house for women so we could empower each other. There is one event related to AI at least every single day. You follow cerebralvalley.ai, I could see all the events there. It is happening daily. And most likely it's happening here in Hayes. Late last year and this year, I realized that there's a surge of people coming from outside of the country, actually, from Southeast Asia, from Europe. And they specifically wanted to move to San Francisco. And the people that I've talked to, they wanted to stay here in a Hayes Valley area because of how supportive people are. And just a walk down the lane to the coffee shop, you would hear a lot of conversations regarding generative AI and so on. So there are just so many active communities. A lot of friends that I know, they work for OpenAI and Anthropic and other AI startups and companies. Yeah, I'm very excited about how we have progressed so far in the AI space, especially when it comes to women in AI. Our last event actually had more than 200 people, mostly women. So we flipped the chart like 9-1 in that event. Yeah,
That is fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, I love Hayes Valley. It's a place to be right now.
It was very cool to go and see the energy and what's coming to life in Hayes Valley right now. I don't know how I feel about the nickname Cerebral Valley. I mean, Brain Valley, Hayes Valley with an AI instead of an AY seems like it might have been a more natural fit, but from what I heard, it wasn't intended to be a nickname. Some of the people who had moved into the neighborhood just started calling it Cerebral Valley. One of them, Amber Yang, a Bloomberg beta investor, had posted about it and it went a little bit viral. So now it seems like the name stuck, Cerebral Valley, at least for now. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. I did talk with Gloria about this rumor that there were 70 AI startups, and she actually thinks the number is probably much higher than that. She said there are multiple hacker houses plus private residences, and if each house, say has 10 people or so in it, and many of them are founders, it's very likely that the number is higher than 70 new AI startups in Hayes Valley. We're going to turn now from this micro level where we're looking at the individuals and the people who are building this new technology to the macro level. We're going to be talking with Marina Gorbis. Marina has graciously agreed to be our very first guest here on GatherVerse News Unscripted. She is a legend. Marina has been working in Silicon Valley for many years. She is the executive director for Institute for the Future, which is located in Silicon Valley and has been around for 50 years. Over the last 2 decades at the Institute, Marina has worked with hundreds of organizations in business, education, government, philanthropy, and civic society, bringing foresight to help them make better decisions. Marina's current research and writing focuses on the intersection of technology and society, exactly what we do here, particularly impacts of technology on work, business enterprise, and wealth inequality. Marina, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm honored to be at this inaugural session.
Well, tell us, to start, a little bit about the work of your organization, Institute for the Future.
Sure. The Institute is located in Palo Alto, California. It's actually 50 years old. It's a nonprofit. We are dedicated to helping people systematically think about the future, not because we think that we can predict the future or that anybody can predict the future, but it's really about understanding patterns, historical patterns, understanding what we're seeing, signals that may be signals of something bigger in the future, make sense of those things, and ultimately help people make better choices and better decisions.
Well, you've been in Silicon Valley for a while, like we said. Everyone is talking about AI right now. What do you think? Is this really something new and different? Is this a hype cycle that you have seen come and go before? How are you looking at artificial
Yeah.
intelligence?
So, every day you wake up and there's like a tsunami of news about new startup, new capacity. Somebody's doing something cool. It's like the spigot was open and there's a flood of these things. And, one of the advantage of being around for 55 years at the Institute, and actually the origin of the Institute, the founders were some of the people who developed some of the foundational technologies for the internet. Paul Barron would develop a packet switching technology for the internet, without which it wouldn't exist. Early work here was really understanding what people were doing with ARPANET, which was a predecessor of internet, and how people, my colleague Bob Johansson was the first sociologist, social scientist, was actually observing what were people doing with these new capabilities, with these new technologies. And what he saw was that it's basically a technology for collaboration, and it's a social technology. It was originally conceived as people sending papers to each other and communicating for scientists. And what people were doing is they were sending jokes to each other and sharing photographs and all the kind of things that we are used to doing now. So ultimately, we've been developing this kind of a continuously layering new capabilities on these technologies. And so when we have this kind of a lot of excitement about AI. First of all, you have to go back and make sense of it. And the way we make sense is look at historically, how did we get to this point? What is the historical patterns that are important in making sense? And what are the frameworks we can use for understanding these technologies? And there are several things that stand out. As I said, technologies are layered on top of each other, and each technology layer offers new capabilities. So first we connected everybody. So it was all about connecting, that we put sensors into everything. Sensors are connected, they're data points. So now we have huge amount of data, huge amount of information. Now we have machine learning, which is basically allowing us to make sense of that and analyze this data and respond. And some of the new capabilities with what we're seeing with ChatGPT is that it's able to communicate in language that's kind of similar to human, and that's scary, right? But if you kind of take it outside of that magical capability and think of it as these kind of independent something that has its own will, it really does not. It's basically a tool that's enabling new levels of collaboration, new levels of interaction with data. And it does have these capabilities to present this in a human way. And that creates excitement and creates a lot of fears. But ultimately, as I said, one thing that we do believe about technologies is that technologies don't have a will of their own. They do come with certain capabilities. We couldn't be doing this conversation if we didn't have the communication technologies just to connect us, right? But how they evolve and what impact they have is not based on just technologies. It's based on the social norms, political environment, regulatory systems, all of these things. So to me, we need to have a conversation about not what this technology will enable, but how we as a society and humans, how will we let it evolve?
That's right. And that's exactly what we're hoping to do over the next several weeks and months here with GatherVerse News Unscripted. Have these conversations because so much is changing quickly. And as much as we can, educate, inform, and help people shape the future. I think you really point to that and say, we have agency. We can make decisions. And you at Institute for Future like to look at a 10-year time frame and say, how is society going to be different in about 10 years? What do you think the advent of this engagement between consumers and artificial intelligence will look like 10 years down the road?
I mean, clearly, we like to, first of all, as futurists, we actually like to look back. I always say I'm as much a historian as I'm a futurist because you have to start with that, what happened before. This is not the only transformational technologies that humans have had to adjust to. If I think about it in history, probably electricity had a much bigger impact than anything we can think of, or even the power loom and the wheel. You can think about history. This is not the only time that this has happened. So we start with these historical patterns and frameworks that help us think about how to think about these technologies and how to make sense. The 10-year horizon is a good horizon for us because it's far enough where you see some signals of something happening, but you can evolve into and kind of create different scenarios. Ultimately, there's so many predictions right now about every day about this technology. And I'm in the space, and we're in the space where we don't like to do predictions. We like to imagine possibilities. And there are a lot of kind of dark possibilities. There are a lot of fear out there. And then you have to ask yourself, well, imagine the positive side of it. And that's important. We need to be looking at those potential scenarios and potential dangers. But I think sometimes we focus too much on that dark side. I think that's like the movies and all the media. We like to be scared.
Right. This fear that AI is going to take over the world. It's going to take
Right.
over all weapons. It's going to kill us. I will say there's a fear that's bubbling up a lot right now, which I think you might have mentioned briefly, that AI will take our jobs. And
Yes.
VC Vinod Khosla said, the actual quote was 80% of all economically viable jobs will be capable of being done by AI. So a little confusing, but basically saying a large portion of jobs, millions of jobs, could be lost to artificial intelligence.
Right.
Does that scare you? Do you worry about labor changing?
I do think that this technology is going to permeate many aspects of our lives, including work and how we do work and what kind of work people will be doing. But I also look at something like Uber. You'll think like Uber is a platform. It's a certain kind of technology that enables us to get rides from place to place, right? But it operates very differently in the US than it operates in Germany or in the UK. So ultimately, yes, as I said before, this technology has certain capabilities, but how it's implemented and how it works varies in different places. So I'm not as much worried. I do think it's going to change a lot of work and a lot of jobs. And some tasks will be affected more than others. Maybe not whole jobs, but some tasks will be changed. But in some ways, tasks have been changing. We've been doing that for a long time. Is this some kind of a huge leap in that capability? Possibly. But again, what I worry about is not the technology that's going to be doing it, but it's our policy, our norms, our social norms. Who owns this technology? How do we structure that? That's what I worry about, that we go about it in a way that actually creates some real positive outcomes from a lot of people, which it does have capacity to do that, rather than create all these negative outcomes.
You speak in your writing, Marina, about how when it comes to future technologies, we're all immigrants to a foreign country. And you say that some of us will fare better as immigrants in this new land than others. Who do you think is going to do well, and who's in for a bit of trouble, a rocky road?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's about who is going to do better or worse. What I reference is it's actually Margaret Mead said that parents are always immigrants to the future compared to their children. And so what I talk about is the generation that's going to grow up with these technologies as just being around, just like the generation that grows up with TikTok or with cell phones or with these technologies. They're not new to them. They're like, this is part of their realities. They're normalized. You can't think about existing without them, right? For people who grew up in a different reality where you had to learn these things, you become an immigrant. What do immigrants do? They have to learn new language, new norms, new customs. But it's amazing how quickly we do that. Like, keep thinking, I'm old enough to remember the time before cell phones. And now I'm thinking, how did we live? Like, you forget about that. It becomes normalized. But the generation that grows up with this generation of AI, with this generation of social media platforms, this is their lives. This is nothing abnormal to them. So the rest of us will have to be immigrants into that future.
All right, Marina Gorbis, thank you so much. I feel like you've really given us some comfort and comforting words here as we go into this uncertain and unknown future. I appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the show.
Thank you, Marina. Take care. All right. Well, I would love to introduce you now to the rest of the GatherVerse news team. They are all here with us today. Raphael Timmons, Lisa Bernard, and Jade Hernandez. These are the intrepid reporters when I said, hey, I think I'm going to start doing some reporting on future tech. Are you interested in joining me? They all said yes, enthusiastically. So I'm going to start with Raphael. Raphael is going to be hosting the show on Tuesdays, so you will see him tomorrow. He is a multimedia journalist with a background in teaching and international business, and he is particularly interested in how Web3 can create a more equitable global future. Raphael, what are you looking forward to delving into?
Well, first, thanks for having us, or for having me, Priya. I'm really excited. This week, we have Dr. Messina Morris, who is the director of the first metaversity ever. So we're going to get into VR and education and how it's changing the future of education, and also how it's a huge opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, like we said before, just how Web3 is going to change the world. And I think equity can be a huge part of it, and that's really exciting. I think we're going to have some good conversations here.
Metaversity. That's a new phrase for for us. All right. Raphael, thank you. Next up, Lisa Bernard. Lisa is an Emmy award-winning broadcast journalist. She's reported on so many important stories across the nation for the past 30 years. She's going to be hosting the show on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Lisa, thank you for being part of the team. What are you looking forward to most?
Oh, thank you, Priya. Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with all of you. I'm really excited to explore how virtual reality can create empathy and how AI can make our lives easier. But I'm most excited to talk to people who are working in emerging technologies, who are committed to ensuring that their tech will consider accessibility, equality, safety and privacy, wellness, ethics, and the other humanity first standards.
All right, Lisa, thank you. And Lisa has conducted a series of interviews we're going to be rolling out on Wednesdays. There are pioneer profiles for people who are on the cutting edge of some of these emerging technologies. So I'm looking forward to seeing those as well. Thanks, Lisa. All right, Jade Hernandez. Jade, thank you for being with us. Jade is a longtime Emmy award-winning journalist. She is driven by her own curiosity into this world of emerging technologies. Jade, she's going to be hosting on Fridays. Tell us a little bit about the stories you're working on.
Well, I got to tell you, thank you, Priya, for asking me to join you in this new universe. I'm so excited and I can't wait. And we're first going to dive in this Friday with Dr. Julia Scott. She's the director of the Brain and Memory Care Lab at Santa Clara University. And I will tell you, she is connecting VR with student applications, which could actually change future care for dementia patients. And the software is life-changing, and I can't wait to be a part of it. I can't wait to talk to Dr. Julia Scott, and hopefully at noon on Friday, we will all get a chance to dive in and really learn about what they're doing at Santa Clara University. And Priya, thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so that's the team. You know them now. Come on back tomorrow. Let me tell you a few things as we're wrapping up here. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you so much for joining us and for being here for this inaugural episode. Thank you for bearing with us as we had some bumps in the road. We hope that we are bringing you information that you haven't heard in other places, that is giving you food for thought, and that is helping you make sense of this major shift in our society these days. We would love to build out our reporting based on what you're interested in learning about. So there is a form on the gatherverse.org/news page where you can submit your questions and story ideas. We'd like to hear from you on that. As a reminder, tomorrow, Raphael Timmons is going to be speaking with Dr. Messina Morris from Morehouse University about the future of education through immersive technologies. And we want to say one last thank you to our sponsor, Old School Cafe. You can check them out at oldschoolcafe.org. This is a place where tech deals can get done in San Francisco while also supporting at-risk youth. The food is incredible. The mission is divine. We want to say a big thank you to my friend and founder, Teresa Goins, and Old School Cafe for being our sponsor today on this inaugural episode. If you're interested in sponsoring us, of course, we have that information on the gatherverse.org/news page as well. That is it for our first show today. We want to thank you for joining us for this premiere episode. Please come on back tomorrow. We'd love to see you then. Thank you. Bye.